Good afternoon, Ms. Jervich, Mrs. Weinstock, the Branksome Hall governors, parents, special guests, faculty, staff, students, and the class of 2019. When I came to Branksome in grade 8, I was determined to make the next 5 years go by as quickly as possible, keeping my head down and staying anonymous. I grew up on movies and books that warned me of the subtle meanness of girls, and was in turn suspicious of predominantly female spaces. My greatest fear was that one day I would become comfortable in my environment. I thought comfort would indicate the demise of who I once was, and the creation instead of someone who was nothing more than a reflection of her environment, a conformist. It wasn't until this year that I noticed I am comfortable. I am a reflection of my environment and am no longer the person I was when I first arrived at Branksome. But here's where I begin to question the extent of my 8th grade wisdom. I don't think my comfort here is anything to be ashamed of. I initially thought that acceptance within this community would require me to compromise my values and identity. When I think about my own experience within this grade, however, I recognize my sense of belonging here as a product of being appreciated for exactly who I am. Now, I'm proud to be a reflection of my environment. Branksome has been a place of authenticity, connectedness, ridiculousness, and love. GUIs. Today is our day of celebration. And while we are the ones being celebrated, it's not right for us to take all the credit. We would not be here as the graduating year had it not been for all the members of the community who have repeatedly stepped back from their own lives to be our cheerleaders. So thank you. Thank you to all our teachers. You make the classroom a lively and wonderful place to return to each day. Your passion for learning inspires us, and with it, you create environments in which we can ask questions and seek knowledge simply for the sake of curiosity. Whether we are dissecting frogs or the secondary plot lines in Hamlet, you make it interesting. Thank you for your patience and support. We know we can be a lot to handle, mysteriously disappearing into the grad room mid-class and handing in IAs months past their due dates. Thank you for understanding when we ask for that deadline extension or last-minute sitting. Thank you for putting up with our jokes, sometimes even laughing at them, and for showing us you care. We notice. Thank you to our guidance counselors, Ms. Caldwell, Ms. Dunberg, and Ms. Miller, for wearing all sorts of hats when it comes to supporting us. From Ms. Dunberg planning an entire trip itinerary for a group of us to visit universities in Halifax, to Ms. Caldwell's weekly guidance updates sent early on Monday mornings, and Ms. Miller unlocking the mysteries of the U.S. admissions process. Time and time again, you have shown us that there is no limit to your caring. I hope you know that when we all flock to the guidance hallway during break, we don't just come for the candy. We come for the open doors, support, and laughter that we find here. Thank you to each member of the school administration. You keep the world as we know it spinning. Although we may not see all of the projects, initiatives, and planning that you undertake on our behalf, we certainly feel the impact. Branksome would not be the place that it is without you. Thank you to the Aramark staff, Mark, Francis, Mel, Bojana, Rena, and the rest of the Aramark team and AWC staff for years of truly delicious food and your kindness and warmth. I don't know many high school students who can say their school lunch is the best meal of the day, but for us it is. I've heard of people inadvertently becoming vegans simply from their love of Francis's features and telling their parents they have to stay at school late to work, when really they're just staying for dinner. The Aramark team is consistently the first to arrive at school and the last to leave. Thank you so much for your time and commitment. Finally, thank you to our parents and our families. I am in awe of your capacity to love us unconditionally, despite how consumed by stress and existentialism we may be. You see us at our worst, and yet you still manage to see the best in us. You remind us of our strength even when we are doubting, and you encourage us to take care of ourselves when we are overwhelmed. Thank you for valuing education and making the emotional and economic commitments that come with attending this school. We are so fortunate to have had the opportunities we have had, and we are only here today because of you. Now, let me tell you about the GYs, the class of 2019. Our grade has a reputation that can only be described as epic. I've given it a lot of thought as to how we came to be. Certainly at some point in the last couple of years, we managed to dissolve our several disconnected groups in order to form a consolidated unit. But I've never been able to pinpoint when exactly this moment was. I have no trouble, however, proving that it happened. Our grade's newfound unity was clear one day this fall during grade-level collaboration. We had nothing left on the agenda, but still had to stay in the AWC for the rest of the period. So, rather than splitting off into small friend groups to chat, we passed the mic around to allow for a conversation that included the whole grade. Conversation veered from which Group 3 subject was superior to which zodiac sign was the worst. As a Gemini, I'll be the first to say things got pretty heated. Yet, the conversation remained dynamic, warm, and inclusive. Another example of our grade unity that comes to mind is Friendsgiving. All it took to organize the dinner was a quick text in the grade's group me, and all of a sudden, everyone was bringing apple pie, cooking turkeys, and driving each other to the grocery store. On the day, everyone showed up for a potluck. We all poured into a single room, wanting to be together, not wanting to be apart. Organically, small conversations united until there was one person out of 100 speaking at a time, with everyone listening. This went on for a long time. We shared feelings of gratitude, embarrassing stories, and sang songs. We spoke openly and genuinely about our love and respect for one another. Our unity was also evident at Halloween, when we organized a grade-wide costume. The 111 Dalmatians, with Hannah Burton as our striking Cruella de Vil. Everyone brought supplies to the grad room, black paper and tapes for the Dalmatians' dots, and we all visibly transformed into part of a whole. We came together this year, and I've learned to rely on the power of female friendships. These friendships are hard to define, complex, and constantly evolving. My hope is that in sharing some stories, I can tell you how wonderful and durable female friendships are, and the long-lasting impact of the friendships we have built at Branksome. I'll start with a personal story. Before moving into the grad room, our grade had vowed to one another to keep the room pristine and respectable for the whole year. Maddie, Emily, and Amanda, our GY reps, decorated the room with glass jars filled with candy. But on the first day of school this year, in what was admittedly not my finest moment, I picked up one of the jars by the lid and the bottom fell, crashing down into the ground. And the shattering of glass is the most embarrassing sound if you are the culprit. However, rather than expressing anger or frustration, everyone rushed towards me to help clean up and make sure I wasn't hurt. We spent a while cleaning it up, but it was clear that some of the glass would be permanently embedded into the carpet. So we haphazardly stuck a welcome mat over it, and months later, people laughingly admitted to me how annoyed they were with me when it happened. Still though, we were laughing about it. Female friendships are honest. Our grade also has a history of tapping into our unity for dance parties and a good time. At Spirit Week this year, we came to a consensus that we would be motivated by our relationships with each other, rather than by competition and a desire to win. It was with this understanding that we took some major risks, including pranking the school by convincing them our theme was purple OneNote icon. After Synthesis last year, the school's cultural showcase and fashion show, we showed our support for our peers involved with a grade-wide dance party. Finally, on the very last day of school, I was reminded yet again of the joy that we can bring one another as I walked into the grad room to find about 50 people dancing and singing at the top of their lungs. We rally around the absurd, celebrating any reason to laugh. We praise Cleo when she shares everything in the reference library. Amanda when she invents the crock as her personal project. And Hannah when she narcs all over the place. Female friendships are fun. What's more, because we respect each other, we can be brave. I'll give you 2 examples. Last year, Callie and Charlie organized a gender conversation at Branksome, which included both male and female single-sex schools. For many of us, this conversation was jarring as we encountered new and opposing opinions. However, our grade had a huge turnout, and we spoke our minds in spite of the backlash and aggressive responses. We knew that our opinions were valued, at least by each other, which gave us the strength to be vocal in an unfamiliar situation. Our friendships also allow us to challenge and be challenged. During Mental Health Week, our peer promoters Hannah Sandler, Julia Hess, and Alex Colville-Reeves organized a grade-level collaboration session to openly discuss our experiences with mental health at school. Going around the circle, we shared thoughts about the environment that we have created regarding mental health, discussing where we might be responsible for promoting unhealthy behavior. We relied on the mutual understanding that our criticisms came from a place of care rather than attack. We trust each other, and so we can learn from each other. Female friendships are empowering. GYs, we have become closer to each other as we have progressed through school. Grade 12 may have been the most stressful year of our lives, yet it may also have been the best. It was a year of challenge and also a year of growth, a year of intensity and also one of gratitude. We've learned that when you are able to rely on the women around you, everything becomes more manageable and more joyful. We needed to rely on our friendships to navigate the difficulty of the IB and the complexity of growing up. Most importantly, we now recognize that we will continue to need strong female friendships as we embark on the next chapter of our lives. As we leave Branksome, possibly the city and our families, we are leaving systems of support that we have built our identities around. At a time of uncertainty like this, it would be comforting to think that we have learned enough to finally make it on our own. Truthfully, however, I don't think there will ever be a point in our lives when we can or would want to exist without the allyship of other women. While each one of us has accomplished so much as individuals, we will not forget the constructive criticisms and compliments of our friends that have paved the way. There will always be challenges that we are not ready for, instances when we may feel that we are simply not enough, and times of celebration. These are the moments when we will be grateful to have stayed connected with each other, and also grateful for the new female friendships that we will create. When I think back again to 8th grade and my first days at Branksome, I wonder how I managed to be so mistaken about what it means to belong in a female space. 8th grade me would have thought that to be elected by valedictorian by my peers, my personality would need to change drastically. I could not have been more wrong. I belong because I am accepted as I am. Apart from the red hair and tragic blue eyeliner, I think my most significant transformation has been my appreciation of this acceptance and of the people around me. I can confidently say that you, GYs, have made me a happier, more confident, and more resilient person. Our time together has been profoundly impactful. We have uplifted each other to see our value, emboldened each other to pursue our passions, and loved each other for who we are. I am so excited now to see what we have given to each other, shared with the world. Thank you.